Hello, welcome back to the second episode of Media Update Media I Ate with me, Nandini Pluri. Today I'll be reviewing and summarizing the fourth episode of Introverted Boss. This Korean drama is also known as Shy Boss or Sensitive Boss, so if you're watching either of those shows, we're talking about the same thing. While summarizing episode 4, I'll be picking out two of my sweetest, heartwarming moments, one hilarious bit, as well as a horrifying scene. I'm pretty sure if you've watched the episode, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Because I'm summarizing the main events of the episode, if you don't want any spoilers, please make sure you've already watched episode 4 of Introverted Boss. Also, if you're wondering whether this show is worth watching, I have a video on exactly that on my YouTube channel, which is called Third Culture Chaos / Figuring It Out Alive. Although I might change the name of my channel to something like Indian Obsessed with K-Drama or something along those lines, who knows. So head on over to the video called Introverted Boss, open brackets, Shy Boss / Sensitive Boss, close brackets, Is It Worth Watching? It's an awkward video title, but it has no spoilers, and I tell you about the best characters and things that I like and don't like about the first 2 episodes of the drama, so that you can make up your minds about whether you'd want to watch it. Although I have to say, it gets better. It gets much better as the episodes go on. Episode 4 is called I Won't Meet Anyone. A quick review of names. Unangi is the introverted boss, Chae Ru Woon is the lead female who works for him, and Kang Woo-ul is the second lead male who is also a big shot in the PR company that they all work for called Brain. Unangi finally tells his team to do something, and he's told them, and I quote, "Do not meet anyone." Everyone at the office interprets this in different ways. It's actually directed at Chae Ru Woon, who keeps going to meet different clients and potential clients with Kang Woo-ul. Unangi finally confronts her directly and tells her not to go around doing that and to do her job here, to which she quite frankly says she doesn't know her position or job here. She doesn't know what she's supposed to be doing. And that's because he hasn't given them any work to do all this time. In this episode, Chae Ru Woon is full-blown stalking Unangi. The first big laugh comes at 4.5 minutes. Chae Ru Woon sees Unangi dancing to popular K-pop songs in his old penthouse, which is now the Silent Monster office. Chae Ru Woon has taken it upon herself to observe Unangi and see his personal habits and schedule. She sees him playing squash, cooking, everything really. I think Chae Ru Woon's character is growing on me, actually. If she was truly a stereotypical K-drama female lead, she'd hide as she investigates. But she actually approaches Unangi and tries to interact with him as she observes his daily routine. I wish we'd get to see or hear more of Unangi's side of this whole stalking business. I want to know what he thinks. In a way, it's fair that she's getting to know Unangi because he certainly knows all, and I mean all, about her, every aspect of her life, scarily so. But I'm gonna get to that in a second. First, I should tell you why Chae Ru Woon is stalking / observing him. Chae Ru Woon has been assigned by Kang Woo-ul to watch Unangi. She's actually spending a lot of time with Kang Woo-ul. In this episode, we see Chae Ru Woon feel a bit conflicted. I sense some cognitive dissonance. She's really enjoying her time at the company because of Kang Woo-ul. She's receiving recognition and learning a lot from him. At the same time, she has to remind herself that her sister died at that company. Her father owns a barbershop and is unaware that she's working at the same company where his other daughter committed suicide. Sweet scene number 1. Chae Ru Woon comes home. She lives with her father, who is a barber, and their home is also part of his barbershop. Usually, as she passes by her father to get to her room, her father asks her whether she ate, and she replies that she did, and then she goes into isolation. It's clear that she has a very strained relationship with her father, and that they don't talk very much. In this episode, she adds that her meal was very delicious before she goes. Now, her saying all those extra words was a big deal. And while her neighbors who are playing some game in the shop speculate about her being happier as she's more talkative, we see that Unang-gi is actually the customer who's getting his face shaven by Chae Ru Woon's father. And he has a small, sweet smile. It's just so cute. But at the same time, it's really creepy. I mean, he knows literally every aspect of her life. I say it's cute, but Unang-gi still wants to fire her from the company. When he tries to discuss this again with Kang-ul says that he'd be happy to take Chae Ru Woon under his wing. This disturbs Unang-gi. It's clear by this point that Unang-gi doesn't trust Kang-ul. And if we remember that he actually has a huge crush on Chae Ru Woon, it seems cute. Also, we can see why he wouldn't want her to be working with the guy who seemingly made unwanted sexual advances on her sister, which might have led her to commit suicide for all we know at the moment. As for the funniest moment in this episode, I only have one word. Squash. Unang-gi's behavior was so unexpectedly extreme, I could not deal. It was so funny. Especially since he assaulted a potential client who's like decades older than him. Probably as old as his own father. Goodness me. Okay, let's get to the most awkward and unfair moment, which is when Unang-gi is forced by Chae Ru Woon to give a presentation. So Unang-gi prepares this presentation all by himself, working overnight, and he gives one of his employees the responsibility to present it in a bid for a client's business, right? And he does so very kindly and thoughtfully, but of course only the audience, like us viewers, we get to know his pure and kind intentions behind his decisions, which seem arbitrary to the rest of the characters. The character he assigned the presentation to is late. And just as the presentation is starting, Chae Ru Woon literally pushes Unang-gi to the stage to present. She does this out of sheer spite. She wants to make him uncomfortable, but even she can't believe what happens and gets no satisfaction from it. Once again, I commend the acting. Unang-gi tries, he really does, but he cannot speak. It's like worse than a scene from The King's Speech. It's just as bad, if not worse, than Jang Gere's partner's presentation in Miseng. It's truly heartbreaking. And of course, when his anxiety gets too much, Unang-gi runs away. And all the people watching the presentation laugh as he does. It's unbelievably cruel. I really hope that the guilt of this whole scenario softens Chae Ru Woon's character and makes her more appealing to us, because I saw some of the comments some viewers left on this episode, and boy do they hate Chae Ru Woon. The second most heartwarming part happens after this, when Unang-gi pays for his employees' meal after the failure of the presentation and gets them all home. This guy is like an angel. All his employees go out to drain their sorrows and guilt after the failure of the presentation, and they all get far too drunk in typical K-drama style. The owner of the restaurant calls Unang-gi, the boss, and he individually gets them all taxis and gets them home. He knows their addresses off by heart and has to literally carry a few people into the taxi. This drama is definitely getting better with time. I give this episode a solid 8 out of 10. The funniest bits were truly hilarious and unexpectedly hilarious. You can't watch this episode secretly at work or school. You'll be roaring in laughter at certain bits. And if you're feeling particularly vulnerable or emotional, you might even cry at the cruelty Unang-gi faces. As for predictions, I don't really have many. In the little preview of the next episode, we see that the Silent Monster team might have to go for a team-building overnight trip. And this would be pretty interesting, especially if Unang-gi actually goes with them. Also, we see that Chae Ru Woon wants to help Unang-gi overcome his social anxiety. I honestly think Unang-gi might become more reclusive because of the presentation disaster. But I'm glad that his team is seeing him more and more as a person rather than a monster as the show is going on. But hey, the show is still very young, so there's so much more to come. Oh, by the way, it's totally safe to say now that Kang-ul is engaged to Unang-gi's sister, and that while he was engaged, he was in some sort of relationship with Chae Ru Woon's sister at work. So the day when Unagi asked his old secretary, Chae Ru Woon's sister, to get him a cufflink, the scene that we keep getting flashed back to, that is, he was doing so because Kang Gu-ul was on a date with his sister at the same venue where Chae Ru Woon was acting in a play. And had Unagi not told Chae Ru Woon's sister to work late, she would have come to Chae Ru Woon's performance and had an awkward meeting with Kang Gu-ul and his fiancée. Unagi was trying to protect his sister, which is sort of odd because I thought if he was protecting his sister, then he would have wanted this strange relationship that Kang Gu-ul has with Chae Ru Woon's sister / Unagi's secretary. He'd want that to be revealed, but who knows. Anyway, it seems really complicated to explain all this, but I hope you know what I'm talking about. Okay, so this episode of Media Update Media I8 is much longer than I wanted it to be, but it's not as long as the first one, so I'm sorry about that, but I am making progress, definitely. So I'm Nandini and I cannot wait for the next episode of this drama. For some reason, it's not coming out at its usual time on the sites that I use to watch it, so I hope it hasn't been cancelled or anything because it's so good and it's just getting better. If you're listening to this on my YouTube page, please subscribe to my channel for more. And if you're listening to this on Audioboom or Mixcloud, bookmark the page. Thank you for listening, and I'd love to hear from you in the comment section. Or you can find me on social media under my name, which is Nandini Pluri. I said that all wrong. NANDINI I'm going too fast. Please don't post any spoilers of the next episode. Other than that, I'm open to anything. Okay, bye!